Hey everybody, it's Irene with BrainStormAcres, and today we're going to solve a problem. Earlier this winter, we had a problem. We had too much cabbage that was ready to be eaten in the greenhouse. And we had a very simple solution to that: make sauerkraut. So Henry chopped up all the cabbage, added, I think a tablespoon of salt per 5 pounds of cabbage, mixed it well, we put it in here, and we let it set for a few hours. We decided it was just a little short on the amount of liquid that's in it, because you want the liquid to cover the cabbage completely. So we made a brine. We followed all the instructions, by the way, from Ball Blue Book. I get nothing for Ball. However, that is kind of the Bible of canning and preserving. So did that, and we've been monitoring it. Any little fuzzy bits that arrived, which was almost nothing, we cleaned out immediately, and we've tasted it several times. And this morning we tasted it, and it is finally ready. Now, the reason this is particularly important is, once again, we are dealing with too much cabbage in the greenhouse. And we've been eating all kinds of Chinese food and coleslaw, and we still have too much cabbage because we've got like 4 heads now that need to be processed again. So the thing to do is get this transferred. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer this to a clean half-gallon jar, and this is going in the fridge. We're not going to can it this time. We're going to clean everything again, and we're going to start a new batch of sauerkraut. So let's get this put away. And what we'll probably do is the second batch of sauerkraut we will probably can. But we want to experiment with the differences in the flavors that we get. Putting it in the kitchen, because we had a particularly cool kitchen this winter, means that it took longer. They usually say 3 weeks. 3 weeks it was barely sour at all, and we like a good sauerkraut. So we've been watching it, and it's ready now. We do not add anything other than the cabbage and the salt, and just enough brine to cover. You can add, some people like caraway. That's the most common, I think the Austrians do that, and that's the most common addition we see to sauerkraut. But we like it plain. That gives us the option to add anything we want to it at a later date. And all I'm going to do is stuff this in here.
If you would like a funnel, here's a funnel.
Yeah, why don't you give me a canning funnel? It'll just reduce the dirt, the mush factor. I'm washed up to the elbows, so I'm not too concerned about that. And everything here has been washed and made clean. When you're doing things like fermenting, it is a continual battle between the good guys and the bad guys. And the good guys are the types of lactobacillus that make themselves at home in the cabbage and the cabbage brine and create that sour flavor, which creates the acid that you need to preserve a food. So this is effectively an acidified food. Squish, squish, squish. Now, it will not last forever, but in the refrigerator, the whole process will slow right down. The bad guys, because remember I said there were good guys and bad guys. The bad guys are things like mold. So we try and make sure always that everything, our hands are clean. I always scrub under my nails and everything else with a brush. And the goal is to keep it as clean as possible so that the good guys can win, basically. I don't think this is going to quite fit. We're going to be just a little short. Maybe I can make a mess. I'm sure I can make a mess. Let's see. Will it work? Will it work? Yep, just. Okay. It doesn't get any closer than that. I have a 1/4-inch headspace in here. I'm not going to worry about this, about 1/4 teaspoon, literally, of stuff in there. I am going to clean this off so that it, I'm not trying to create a real good seal, I just don't want a mess on the top of the jar. Because if there's pieces hanging out and things like that, it does give like a little roadway for the bad guys to get in, especially if you're not being super careful when you open it later. And that's all there is to it. I look to see if I have burpee tops, which are pressure release tops. I didn't have any that would fit this size, so I have to use this. But this should be fine in the fridge. We'll monitor it. But now if I were leaving it on the counter, I would have to leave this knot on tight because you could actually cause the jar to explode. But in the refrigerator, it should be fine. And we'll probably break into it at least once a week. We have to come up with a couple of good recipes for using sauerkraut. And now all we have left to do is we're going to get everything clean completely. And we're going to make more sauerkraut this afternoon probably because, like I said, I got 4 heads of cabbage that need to be processed this weekend. So, hope you find this useful. This stuff's not hard. The big thing is sanitation. We had trouble using cabbage from the grocery store. We found that continuous water cycle that they use in the grocery store was encouraging mold growth, and not just on the surface where it was obvious, but kind of inside the cabbages. And it would also be where it had been stored and everything else. So we've had the best luck in the past, always, when we used our own cabbage. I think once we were able to, we intercepted a shipment. Yeah, that's right. Henry had gone down to the food bank to talk with a friend, and they had gotten a shipment, literally a pallet of cabbage, and didn't know what they were going to do with it. And he brought home a case of cabbage. And I said, I love coleslaw, but I can't eat that much coleslaw. So we made cabbage, sauerkraut with that. That was a success, but those were super fresh. I don't know how long they'd been away from the farm, but they hadn't been sprayed and handled a lot. And yeah, that was a super success. So that kind of hooked us on the whole thing. We've never, under normal circumstances, we wouldn't have spare cabbage to throw around. But this year we had an excellent crop in the greenhouse. And therefore we have spare cabbage. So now we have sauerkraut. We did buy organic cabbage from Whole Foods once, and they were monster heads. They were like, I don't know, I think I bought nine pounds of cabbage. I kind of cleaned them out that day, but it was only 3 heads for 9 pounds of cabbage. I mean, they were monsters, and they were gorgeous, gorgeous. Because we didn't want to use something that we were concerned about being sprayed in something that we're going to be preserving and eating long term. So that was another option. And obviously, if you have the option of buying direct from a farmer, that's a cool thing. You can find out what they're doing, and not every farmer sprays. So you just need to know what you're buying. So we hope this is helpful. Until next time, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, because obviously we're going to be doing lots more stuff. Bye. And don't forget, keep brainstorming, because obviously we are.